Hello again. Hi. We are about to start our third interview of the night with our cast and production of the upcoming show Stitch and Witness. We're about to be joined by Rose Freeman, who's the director for the show. And she's going to tell us some more about Stitch and about her experience directing a virtual program, which, as we heard from Alexis and Angela earlier tonight, is like a whole new terrain. It's a whole new situation for us all. So it's really exciting and fascinating to learn more about it. And here we go with Rose. Can you hear me, Rose? There we go. Hi.
Hi, yeah, this is crazy in
This
this
is
world.
it's new, isn't it?
Like, hold me, somebody.
You are all the way on the East Coast right now, so it's actually 10 o'clock where you are rather than 9 o'clock where I am, right?
Yeah, but like, I went into theater because I like a later schedule, and then like, spiritual dissonance and all that stuff. But mostly because I'm a firm believer that anything before 10 a.m. is homophobic. Um, so 10 p.m. is
That's
fine. We've been
10 p.m.
doing
and
our
after is
best.
great. It's great for
Yeah, yeah,
us.
that's right where we are.
Well, I have a 4-year-old daughter, so anything after 8:30 for me is a deal breaker.
Unacceptable.
I'm like,
Yeah, that's weird.
why am I still awake right now? What's happening?
I am still somehow childless. So, we're going to keep on keeping on. Don't get me
There you
wrong,
go.
though. Third Eye's a
Got
firm believer in supporting people with children. We actually had like, there was a conversation about it, and we like, because like one of our ensemble members, Mary Litz Govertson, has a kid
right.
who is like a year younger than the company.
Oh my gosh.
And right, so like we can track how long we've been in business based on like Ben losing teeth.
Based on
And
birthdays.
like that baby, exactly. And that baby's been like in our process the whole time because you
Oh,
can't call yourself a feminist, radical, social justice oriented company unless it's okay to bring your kids in. I mean, we do the dark
yes.
stuff, but like you got to be able to
Snaps
bring your
everywhere.
kids. Like, yeah, that like the kid's well behaved, it's fine. That baby's screaming, guess what? The director's going to be holding it while telling you need to really think about your motivation while you're sobbing in that corner. It's okay, buddy.
Right.
Mommy's just
They're like,
acting.
it's fine. You can just work on your training as with this baby in
Yeah,
the room. It's
focus.
great.
When you're 8, we're going to do them all.
That's
That's how we've decided this is going to go. You're fine.
yes. That's amazing. Well, we
My
we
long-term
appreciate the
fantasy.
support. Staging them
Hey,
all in the
we
night
gotta,
visitors.
yeah, just gotta do them all. Well, we got an 8-year-old. Here we go. Time for the Christmas story.
I've actually sang the mother in a mall, and the first time that I sang it was about a month after I had my daughter, which
Oh
was
my
not a good
gosh.
idea. If anyone's wondering if you should sing in an opera right after having a child, don't do it. It's not a good idea.
Is
Just pro tip.
I have a lot of personal questions that
Am I okay? No. No, if that's what you're wondering.
I know it froze. Is that me?
Oh,
It's probably me. I live in
we're
a basement,
back.
so there we go.
That's
Oh, and you
okay.
guys got like a free tour of the desk I'm trapped to. Somewhere in here, you'll see Lumella.
Aw.
There she is. That's my secretary, the skeleton.
Oh my gosh. I was
She holds my
expecting a cat,
calls.
but that's fine.
No, there's no.
Skeleton is good
Although
too.
that's the thing about making work in these times is how many rehearsals have a brain break that just involves video live feed of somebody's dog. Like we get
Yes.
Appa
Yeah.
Cam, we get Mimi Cam. It's pretty solid. It's helpful.
That's really the best care that you can provide for your colleagues is showing them pictures of your pets.
I'm also teaching opera workshop, and we'll be in there, and like one of my students has this adorable spaniel looking thing, which I'm a fan of, for the record. Shout out to Ollie. And every day I'm like, I would like to see the baby. Where's the
Right. Like I
spaniel?
need my cute tax for this. Like you bring
Yeah.
it on.
Well, like my acting teaching, I'm always like, well, like, let's think about why we love animals. And it's because they're honest and they follow their instincts.
There you go.
So, like, I don't know, spend some time
And
looking at
those are
your animal if you want to be a better
the two
actor.
best things you I was going to say those are the two best things you can do as a performer, right? Be honest and follow your instincts. And you got it.
Yeah.
That's
And then,
90%
like,
right
you're
there.
90% there. And then you're like, oh, wait, I have to plan my breaths, but I'm supposed to be discovering breaths. How does that work? And then it's just like,
It's fine. We figure it
clear the
out. That's
table.
why we pay you. That's why we bring you in to fix
No,
that.
no, 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 no. See, like as a director, I always want to be the dumbest one in the room. And I'm pretty sure the real reason I went into opera was so I could easily always be the dumbest one in the room because like I'm surrounded by these scholastic athletes that are like these brilliant, bad mother, like amazing
Mhm.
humans. Did you watch that censorship job? It was the best I've ever done.
It was perfect. It was great. I'll bleep it out later. It's fine.
Yeah, I didn't even say the word. I just thought it so hard. Everybody else did. Uh, and like, yeah, I'm always surrounded by them. It's
I
powerful.
mean,
So,
yeah, there's no better place to be, I think, than in a room of people who are smarter than you. You're always learning something, and what's more valuable than that these
yeah, let
days?
go of your ego and keep going crazy.
Speaking of these days, we are doing both of the shows on October 17th virtually.
Yeah.
What's that like for you as a director? How are you exploring the new venue? What are some new ideas that you've gotten to put into practice here?
Um, I wouldn't want to be doing this with anybody else but Third Eye. It has been, I am not a film director. I've never wanted to be a film director. I am, it is not a medium that excites me in any way. If
Hmm.
theater is sitting around the fire, telling stories to each other, film and internet media and content creation that goes through a screen is staring directly into the flames or screaming directly into the flames and hoping through some kind of transubstantiation or alchemy some kind of message gets to the other side of the circle, right? You are
Hmm.
constantly flowing through. And because of that, you are constantly trying to think of how to build community in a communityless space. So that has been a real struggle. And if I wasn't working with an ensemble that I've been with for 7 years, and can trust with every infinite amount of vulnerability, and if I wasn't with somebody like Alexandra, right, it would be an insurmountable task, right? And if Matt Peckham, I want to do a shout out to Matt Peckham, hadn't stepped up to the plate to be like, yeah, let's discover this. I don't think we would have ever figured out how to do this, and we're starting to figure it out. It's been a 2 month process. It's twice as much work to get about a third of the results,
Hmm.
but
Interesting.
it has been a worthwhile and thrilling experiment that really feels like it's on the vanguard of how we will be telling stories through this alchemy of going through the fire.
Yeah.
Um, to like really stretch that metaphor as far as I can.
As much as it can go.
We're gonna do
No,
our best.
that's such a fascinating way of describing it, and it's accurate too, because I know as a performer, a lot of the energy that you get, that you're able to give, comes from your audience. It's not
Well,
just the people on stage pulling it up from the bottom of their toes. It's really feeling the room and feeling what people are giving to you, and then reflecting it back to them, right? And
well, in
that's
live performance, you are not a passive observer. You cannot pause
mm,
the film, talk to it. Whatever energy you are doing, you are collaborating with that performance. You are, as an audience member in live theater, you are 100% an active participant. There is nothing passive about seeing live theater. It might feel that way because we've, in the name of certain institutions that exist in the United States that I've been explicitly told I can't specifically just yell about, we have been cattle called and packed in to create those kind of formats so we can kind of fit in those schemes. But if you
Mm,
look at something like the storefront theater movement and the storefront opera movement in Chicago, you were an active participant. In pre-COVID times, it wasn't good acting unless spit was flying at you. You know, you were in it, and whatever energy you were giving as an audience member was what they were feeding off of. It was an active dialogue in that circle of the fire. And,
mm,
you know, how do we have that active dialogue when, as performers, we're in these voids? And as audience members, you're in these voids. And so it's like, how do we build that connection? How do we reach out? How do we speak? How do we ask? Is the big philosophical questions that I'm,
yeah.
you know, lightly tapping my head against my desk about every night after rehearsal.
Well, I mean, after that explanation, my job sounds way easier. All I have to do is, tell people how amazing the show is going to be because it is amazing, and what you guys are accomplishing in this completely new format is really groundbreaking. I mean, this is the first virtual performance for Third Eye, and it's the first time we're doing a performance in this sort of way. So we learned earlier from Alexis that Stitch is um, a recorded audio, but the actors are acting in real time.
Yeah, we're straight up
Um,
creating a live music video. That's the only way I know how to explain what we're doing. We're like, everything's live mixed, like everybody's live performed. Um, we've all gone through this kind of Herculean technology curve. Not that we're not like incredibly competent with technology. Our stage manager, Shelby Crupp, once learned for Stitch, the first edition of Stitch, once learned how to work an entire light board that was new to her in 30 minutes and designed an entire show. She's not a lighting
oh my
designer. She's a stage manager, and she figured that out. So, like, we're
God.
not dumb or uneducated, but like this has been a huge learning curve that like is outside of our expertise, but like you had to go in bravely.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's a live music
Bravery.
video.
Bravery is a theme that keeps coming back. In both my talk with Alexis earlier and my talk with you, I mean, it's very brave of you, or it requires a lot of bravery to kind of forge a new path for yourself and to keep um, the willingness to share this music with people, even in times when we can't be together in person. Even when our ideal circumstances have been taken away, it takes a lot of bravery and vulnerability to still want to share this music with people.
Well, the
Um,
reality is we're all reaching out into a void, right? And
mhm,
um, Stitch and Witness become this perfect pairing because it is about reaching out and connecting and finding
mhm,
something, right? And Witness does this really beautiful reverse, right? Where almost all of the music is live. It's a live staged concert. Um, which I've done a few staged concerts. So like, okay, I can handle this. And then you're like, but it's over Zoom. And you're like, yeah, okay,
a little different, yeah.
stab me. Yeah, like just right in the foot, like just in the foot so we can distract from the panic.
Yeah.
And I mean, God bless Alexis. Like she is one of my most favorite game collaborators I've ever had, right? There's so many times where I'm like, what if we had crabs fighting dildos? And she's like, yes. You know,
And
it's
she's like, we'll try it. We'll make
yeah,
it work.
she's like, sure, that makes sense dramaturgically. And I'm
Oh
like,
no.
great. You know,
Okay, we're back.
so game. And she is brave, right? The rest of us are like, fear is the first step of bravery. So bravery is
Mm,
always subjective, but like,
there you go. It's all about how
you
you
know,
look at
Alex,
things, right? How you frame it.
yeah, like somebody stepping on stage for the first time ever in their life is just as brave as somebody throwing a brick. And one might die and one might not as a consequence of that, but they still had to hurdle something insurmountable for them personally. I will never be as brave as some of the people I work with, mostly because I'm too dumb to have that much fear.
I think just by virtue of you being in this group and being, a part of this amazing performance, I don't think that anybody could ever call you dumb, but
I ain't stupid, but I'm a little dumb. Just dumb enough. I'm standing by
just dumb
that.
enough to try all the new things.
Yeah, like what? Like what's the worst that can happen? Ow. Okay, that was hot stove again. Okay, let's try again.
There you go. There you
Yeah.
go. And then we learn.
Yeah.
Speaking of speaking of trying different things and pushing boundaries, one of the most interesting things about Stitch is that it's an a cappella show. There's no traditional ensemble, but there are sewing machines with each of the singers that kind of act a little bit like an accompaniment, a little bit like a prop, and a little bit like their own characters in the show. Um, what was it like dealing with that? Have you worked with kind of non-traditional props in that fashion before?
You start talking about them, and I immediately start playing with my thinking ponytail. This ponytail that I think with. Uh, so the sewing machine nightmare happened last year when we first did Stitch Live. Where we were like, okay, how do we? And I say nightmare in the way where we were all like, oh no, what have we done? Right. So we kind of navigated that and like found them to actually be incredibly useful tools, um, as far as like keeping pitch and like what the complexities are.
Oh, are we
What
back?
did we get? What did we get?
I'm
Was I
so sorry
yelling
about
about how
that.
sewing machines are now just instruments and timpani and it's like fine? There, that's what I said.
Do you want to
They're
repeat
fine.
that? They're fine.
Yeah, we already fought them on the first iteration. So as far as like artistic discovery goes, like the sewing machine is old news compared to like how we
We're
deal with
there.
Zoom.
I gotcha.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
like
it's
they're fascinating. And they were a deep struggle, but like at this point we're like we got it. Like we get the sewing machine. Like we can,
we get that. Yeah.
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 You just have to treat it like an instrument. It's an instrument like any other, and it is a prop like any other. And like, sometimes you give a performer an accordion. It's my favorite threat to music directors that I'm going to give an actor a tambourine.
I hope I never have to deal with that on stage because as I told Alexis earlier, I have zero rhythm and
No,
I rely
who
on a
you
lot of eye
give the tambour like
contact
you're punishing them. Like you don't give the tambourine to somebody who can use
to
it.
somebody who does well with it. No, no, never.
Yeah, exactly. It's a
So you
struggle.
you were the one who creatively tied these shows together, both Stitch and Witness, under the theme of isolation, growth, and yearning through the woman's gaze. Why, in your mind, is that an important message in 2020?
Well, we have isolation. We're all in it right now. Like I'm
Mhm.
chained to this. Here, I can show you my workstation right now. Like this is just my life, right? Like this is where Stitch and Witness get directed. You see, you can even say some like sweet tarot cards there and all that good stuff. Um, we're all in this isolation, and our world is like shoving isolation on us more and more. Um, and it's a really terrible situation for those who can't afford isolation, right? Like isolation is actually a place of privilege. Um, and we're still all growing, right? We're all like finding how we can actually like the world life hasn't stopped just because we're in absolute collapse and crisis. Like we're still making art. I'm still in grad school. I'm still teaching. Like you still have a job, God bless. We people still get married, have babies, die, sometimes at a higher rate right now, unfortunately. um but we're all still living, we're all still growing. And um I respect the male gaze. It is a gaze that we have heard about in predominant culture for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand it a lot of the times. And I suspect I'm not the only one. And I don't know if I'm interested in it anymore.
Yeah, I would
Um,
agree. I think it's time to hear from everyone, not
and it's
not just one or two perspectives.
and it's not to discount the value of the male gaze. In fact, it really annoys me that we're even discussing it in juxtaposition to the woman's gaze. And I say woman's gaze because if you're a woman, you're a woman, right? And like trans women are women. Trans women are beautiful women and powerful women. Non-binary femme presenting people may live in a woman status. I'm non-binary myself, and but I am still coming from that gaze, right? And I am still learning the world from like how I've been socialized or what cultural
Mhm.
place I have in the world. And that is a gaze that is worth viewing. And that is a gaze that I think we need to continue to perpetuate
Mhm.
and really protect the candle of because it's been hidden for so long and the words have been taken away for so long. So
Mhm.
it's not to discount the other gazes of the world, although I'm sure they are very fascinating to those people. It is more so to protect this newly lit candle illuminating a gaze that has been there all along. And
Yeah.
that's why this is valuable because you want to know why we're in this mess on a political, global level.
Yeah.
Some people
Yeah. I think,
really couldn't handle a woman's gaze.
and
So we have to
that's an
start looking at the
unfortunate.
world that way. We have to. And we have
Yeah.
to.
I think I can't tell if I am frozen again or if
I know. I think it's me because
oh,
I'm living in my
I'm
basement
sorry.
hole. It's okay. I've
That's
moved to the
okay.
bar, which is, where COVID lives. So it's fine.
Great. Well, stay safe.
One of my
I
partners just started cackling from a corner somewhere.
speaking of the women's gaze, what can we learn from the women in the show? The women who sing Stitch, or the characters who sing Stitch, um, are very different than Alexis, who's singing as herself.
Are they?
Um, I
Like,
believe
that's my
so.
question is like, yeah, I mean, wow, this isn't me. Where'd we go? Was it just me yelling, are we?
I think that was my
What I'm saying is like,
connection this time, but
no, I think it's all, I mean, this is, you want to talk about the women's gaze, it's us being like, no, it was my bad. No, it was my bad. It's my, I, I would argue that these stories are not that different. These are women reaching out, trying to survive
mm,
and looking for community. And when you really boil it down to that, oppression is oppression and it affects all of us differently. Michelle Wolf, great comedian, had a wonderful saying where she was like, white women, like one of the most genius things we did was like oppress us comfortably because it's really hard to say you're oppressed from a four-person bed.
yeah, that is very
Nonetheless,
true.
the universal oppression applies. And we all have to look at it. It's the same machine, it's the same animal, it's the same monster coming for all of us and stopping all of us from actualizing the people we want to be and living truthfully in our world. And we're all one sisterhood, we're all one siblinghood. So let's go. Let's see all these women for what these women are,
Mm.
reaching out into the void, trying to survive.
Is
So
that
I
the
don't think they're
message?
different at all.
Is that the message that you're hoping the audience walks away with from the show is a message of unity.
I learned long ago I can't control how an audience walks away from anything. I can merely say and ask as many questions as possible and hope that you're getting a tour of my kitchen now, and hope that they think for themselves and participate actively and ask their own questions back. This goes back to theater being a conversation across the fire, not a stare into the fire. I'm not shooting a direct message that is archival and trapped in time. I am living in real time. We are having a dialogue. We are breathing together. And that's the real experiment, and why I'm encouraging everyone to actually come in live on this performance and not, wait to watch it later. If you want to watch it later, sweet, learn something, question things. But, being there live, that's the great experiment, is can we discover something new in this conversation? But no, I don't have a message. I don't have an agenda. I just have my perspective and the community's room.
I love that because it brings a purity, and it brings an honesty to the performance that I think you don't get when somebody has an agenda like that, or when somebody is trying to teach you something. And I think that's part of the beauty too in how the shows are written. I got to talk with Alexis a little bit about her writing process for Witness, and she mentioned a couple of times that there is a through line of the show. There's an arc of what's happening, but it's not a straightforward plot line. She's not saying then this happened chronologically, that then this happened, or something. It's very light. It's very poetic, in the way that she's talking about her perspective, her testimony, and her witness of her own life.
And it's about the world, right? Like, that's what makes opera different from a musical, is that the music of an opera is about the world, where a musical is about character and plot. And I'll admit that I think about this every day a lot more than I'd ever like to. And an album is about a journey, right? And that's what's so brilliant about Witness, and why, when I heard it for the first time, I was with one of my partners in Houston in quarantine, and we were sitting there, and I was like, oh, I got this demo. I think she wants me to produce it. Let me hear this. And I hit play, and she was next to me, and we both looked at each other and said, this is truth. This is truth. And we gasped. And it was the first third of the album. And so, yes, this is an album, but yes, this is also an opera, but also none of that actually matters. And how bored are we by codification and academic bulldozing and justification of people's careers in the name of, like, codifying art? Like, get out of here. It's an art song cycle. It's an album. It's an opera. It's all of those things. We contain multitudes. And that's what's exciting. It's truth. In the end of the day, it's just truth.
That's really beautiful. I do find myself falling into a trap of trying to put things in boxes, or trying to compartmentalize, and, like, this is an opera and this is not an opera because she's playing a banjo, and that can't be opera. And
banjos are totally opera.
You and Alexis are so of the same mindset here, because in both of the conversations I've had now, it's like, we're not imposing labels on this. We just want this music shared. We just want to be heard and to be seen and to be witnessed by each other and by ourselves, and by an audience, if an audience is going to be there. And if not, we're still going to do this amazing performance.
I lived through and kind of came of age in the respectability politics of the gay liberation movement. I missed the plague, thank God. But I did come in the gay liberation movement, where we were really just trying to get gay marriage passed. And we're like, look, we're like everybody else. Here's a kid we raised. And having spent 20 years in that, I'm super over labels. They're a lot of fun. You can play with them. It's a good way to create some shorthand. It's an efficient tool, but it's not necessarily helpful in embracing the global expanse of what our world is and the complexities of every human being in it. If you're looking for an accurate explanation of something, codification ain't going to help you. If you're trying to be efficient, if you're trying to put things away so you don't have to deal with it anymore, super handy dandy. And so I want to apply that to art, right? I'm applying queer theory to art. Let's stop. Yes, they're useful sometimes if we have to be speaking about things efficiently, if we have a timeline. But if we don't, if we really just want to explore something, use it as a language tool, but that's all it is. It's just a tool and nothing more.
Yeah.
Like, get rid of it. Like, just use it as the tool it is. Shovels are also tools. Hammers are tools. Voting ballots are tools.
I love that. I love that it gives a space for exploration in a world that sometimes strives a little bit too hard for perfection and for replicating something perfectly every time. Um, so
I
I
call
think
that
that
chasing the dragon. You trying to... I see that both Angie and Avita are listening, and I know I've said this to both of them. Don't chase the dragon. You know, we get something really good, and we want to get that high back. Girl, is she gone? Live theater is about the moment. Like,
yeah,
I'm sorry, but she's
I
never
love that.
there. Who's
Yeah,
Kathleen Kelly?
never when you need her.
No, no. Just
Um,
you got to let yourself play it. You have to listen. Love the
so
dragon, says Angie. Yes, I know you do, baby.
So, Rose, we've talked a lot about how your perspective has shaped these shows as the director. My last question for you here is, what have you learned from these shows? Is there something that you've taken away that's changed your perspective at all?
I think it's too early to tell. You
Hmm.
know, I know that this has opened me up. See, we got the thinking ponytail back. This has
That's
opened
how I
me
know
up.
I've asked a good question.
It is because I'm like, oh, I hate it. I'm with the person smarter than me.
Not true.
No, it's true. Like, please be smarter than me, somebody. Um, I think I don't know yet. It's too early to know what I've learned.
Hmm.
Um, I know
Sometimes,
that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, and I think that's okay. Um,
yeah.
I know
I was
I've
gonna say
learned.
sometimes you have to let it cook a little bit more before you really feel the
I
effect of it.
Yeah, and like every day we come into rehearsal, and like Matt Peckham, another shout out. He's been a fucking
Hmm.
awesome human on this whole project. The only dude on the project, like holding firm. Not that gender
Representing.
matters, you know, construct, but like he's really holding firm.
Hmm.
Um, and he's like every day he comes in and he's like, I learned something new today for this project, and I was like, good, because we ain't paying you enough. Because like there should be a
Yeah.
comma with this paycheck, boo. I'm so sorry. And like every
Yeah.
day, like I'm sitting there on iMovie of all things, right? Like there's this kind of radical democratization of content distribution
Hmm.
that's happened with the smartphone. Yes, you did, Angie, and we're very proud of you. That was a good choice. Um, you know, there's this radical democratization that's happened with technology and how we can create content and how we can distribute content.
Mm-hmm.
And with that radical democratization, I'm really curious about how much we've all learned about this and how I need to go find a bunch of 20-year-olds and ask them a lot of questions about how to edit things.
Yeah.
Um, because I've always, you know, I'm an elder millennial. Like I have always adapted to technology, um, and I'm feeling slow now. So, like, how do we keep going? Like, how do we embrace the fact that all of us have the power in our hands to create art,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's a TikTok video or an online opera or a photo collage or
Yeah.
a new song you composed on GarageBand because that's what you had. Um, it really takes the elitism out in a world where the elitism stands. And that
Mm.
reckoning is going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess that's what I've learned is that like we all hold the power in our hands, which is something I've yelled all the time, but like never actually implemented,
Now's the
we all,
time.
I know, we all have to like come to terms with ourselves.
Yeah. But it seems like now is such a unique time. Like you said, there is kind of a reckoning happening in a lot of performance aspects because there's the way that we experienced art and the way that we experience live performance is not available to us anymore, and we can be sad about that and we can be upset, and it is upsetting. But we also have to move forward and we have to create a new way.
I mean, like,
Um,
I'm actually going to argue with you on that. Like, I think it's okay to just be devastated. Um,
yeah, of course.
and like moving forward, like, yes, we do always move forward.
Hmm.
But if you look at Angels in America, right? There's this wonderful moment in that Tony Kushner play where the angel goes, "Stop moving." And what does it happen if we all take a collective breath
Mm,
and think about what we're actually doing? And I really feel like that's the magic of Stitch and Third Eye, like Stitch and Witness and Third Eye is like this company took a collective breath. Because at first we were like, we'll pump this thing out in a month, it'll be fine. And I was having a panic attack about it.
mm,
And Rena, our artistic director, and probably the only one keeping me sane half the time, went,
same.
"Hey, Rose, right? Like Rena Ahmed, our queen. Um, how do we, she was like, do you want to just delay this like another month so we can really explore and learn something?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. Like I just started crying.
Mm,
Um, and I think it's okay to like take a pause and think about how we want to move and how we want to explore.
right. Right.
And it isn't necessarily forward. I don't necessarily think that us doing digital work is forward. I think it is brand
Mm,
new. I think it is revolutionary. I think that this is a democratization of work and a something we are going to remember forever as we continue to do live work. Nothing upset me more and I was grateful for it, don't get me wrong, is when quarantine hit, all these opera companies released all this archival footage
mm,
that they've been
mhm.
sitting on for years. We could have been giving opera to the world. And that's in their mission statements. And I recognize that there's a lot of hangups with unions and rights, and you're dealing with 300 artists and a lot of like the musician, like there's a lot of hangups that are not actually the company's faults, but we have to resolve that as an industry and as a community because this is now part of our new world order.
Mm,
And if that's what we're looking, it's that if that's what we're calling forward, then yes, we are including the ability to gaze into the flame along with the ability to sit around the table.
yeah.
So,
Tying it all together. I love that.
girl, it's my freaking job.
Well, on that note, Rose, I want to thank you so much again for joining me tonight and for answering all of my, wild questions. And
No, you're perfect and you're an icon, and we're so glad to have you part of this organization. And, at intermission, it's just going to be me yelling into the void with a live stream of my buddy Chris Abigail's goats.
well, I'm going to be answering all of the chats in the live stream during intermission. So while you're yelling
Excellent.
into the void, I'll be frantically trying to explain
Why I'm just saying some
everything is
terrible things.
fine.
Everything's like I'm causing you a lot of problems. It's
Not
basically
at
this
all.
interview. I came into this interview. I agreed to it just so I could warn you in a public fashion where you couldn't cuss me out that I was about to make your life difficult.
It's fine. It's fine. I couldn't be happier for you to make my life miserable right now.
Oh, that sounds
Truly
not good.
appreciate it.
We all need hobbies. Oh, Jen Barrett.
Hi,
Yes,
Jen.
icon. She has been with us
Love
on so
Jen.
many shows. Man, her performance in Dark Sisters like changed me a little bit.
Mm.
Yeah, Jen Barrett, we're talking about you a little bit. Like,
Hi, Jen.
you killed
We
it,
love
man. She's I mean, that's what we've been so lucky about, right? Is like we've had so many. Oh, she kissed us. That's nice.
Just working with people that you can truly trust and really enjoy being around is not only a pleasure, but it's an honor, and it's really unique in a professional industry and any job to work with the people that you actually love. Um, like Jen. We love
Yeah.
Jen.
It's a community, right? And it extends past like community members where you have actual obligations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
We're a community. We're a circle around. Oh, here I'm going to do it again. You ready? We're a circle around a fire, telling
is.
stories,
There
creating
it
art.
is.
Yeah.
Well, on October 17th, I'm going to plug the show again. Here we go. On
Please.
October 17th at 7 p.m., we will all collectively sit around the fire that is our laptops or whatever you're watching the
We will
show on.
shoot that alchemy through and pump it right into you, and you'll be like, "Oh, I too am reaching into the void. I feel something," and you'll learn something new about art on October 17th. See how I like overrode you and then came back to it?
It's perfect.
I'm so
It's
sorry.
wonderful. I want to again thank you again so much, Rose. Thank you everyone who tuned in tonight. We're gonna go ahead and post this video back on Instagram on our feed so that as many people as possible can learn more about these shows. The link for the show is in our bio. Tickets are free with a suggested $10 donation because, as Rose said, we firmly believe in providing art and opera to as many people as possible, regardless of financial circumstance or time commitment or whether or not you know anything about opera at all to begin with. So,
Look, moral
we
of
would
the
love to
story
see
is we're trying to be as ethical as possible, and we make art that's frickin' sweet. So, like, come hang out with us. What do you want?
that's it. That's all I could ever want.
That's everyone. Angie, if you hurt this thing anymore, your thumb's gonna fall off.
I love it. We'll bandage it back up, Angie.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna stitch it myself.
Stitch it. Well done.
Stitching. It's in my head. That's the thing that they don't tell you about opera directors is that it's permanently in your head.
Well, I hope you get some rest tonight, Rose. Thank you again for joining me, and I'll see you soon. Yeah, cheers.
Let's make some art.
Amazing. Have a good night.
See
Bye,
everybody on the
everyone.
17th. Bye.